Hey family, it's Derek Jameson, and welcome to episode 11 of my how-to series, Practical Spirituality and Mysticism. And in today's very special episode, I meet with Romie Bo, who is a galactic healer, a life activator, and an initiate of the modern mystery schools. She's going to go over what this 10-day galactic portal we've been moving through is. She's going to teach us about DNA activation and the energy that lies dormant within our DNA, and she's going to give us really practical and cool tips on how we can work through those energies. So meet us on the other side. This is Derek, and we'll see you soon. Hello, Romie, and happy Friday to you. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you, Derek. Thank you for having me here.
Amazing. I love your background. I knew you were going to come with some heat with that background, so I put on my own purple lights. I knew I wanted to get into the
I
Romie
love it.
vibe today, so I put on colors that I felt like were you. From the day I saw your icon on Clubhouse, I matched. I knew right then that I was going to connect with you. So we are talking about DNA activation, life activation, all this magical stuff, and we're talking about the 10-day portal that we just entered into. So before we get into DNA activation, tell us a little bit about this 10-day portal and like what kind of energies are taking place so that people have an understanding for what they're experiencing at this time.
So the Galactic Portal, it comes actually from the Mayan calendar. There's a lot of information in Spanish. There's not as much in English, but it is based on the Mayan calendar. So it's different openings along the year that happen, these portals where we can take quantum leaps into the healing, into our healing process, into reviewing our chakras, reviewing, aligning us to our purpose in life. Depending as well, we have to check what our king number is, and then that is going to affect, and then that goes aligned with the cosmic weather as well, which I didn't check it today, but yesterday the sun was the magnetism of the sun was more calm. It might be some solar flares in the weekend, so we might be even feeling more tired. And if we feel like extra tired, is because the combination of the portal with the solar flares, and then Uranus is like sending some flares as well, and that is actually pushing us massively to awaken the energies of Uranus. So there's going to be a massive awakening in these days that the portal is open. I believe it goes, yeah, April 8th. April 8th is the last day. So, and your birthday it's on April 7th, your galactic birthday. So
My galactic birthday, everybody, is
yes.
on April 7th. So if you want to send me any gifts, any presents,
Yeah.
any galactic cosmic blessings, I'll be down for it. I'm really
Yeah.
excited. And Romy gave me, she like did the calculation. She spoke it all in Spanish.
Yes.
And she was like getting it down to give me my galactic birthday. So I felt like I just got a gift today. From now I know. I didn't know what that was until she told me. So if you want yours, you go to her.
Yeah, you just DM me or write me an email. Because here's the thing too. Once when I run into my kin number and I was actually researching more what it is basically as well. It's aligned to your blueprint, which is we're gonna talk about blueprint and DNA, and it's basically like a revelation of your soul purpose here on Earth. Which I was
Hmm.
like, what? And I wish I would have known that before I was 38 years old, right? I would have that information before I was 38, like in my 20s. But and right now with this opportunity with you, so many young people is coming into this information, which is great because then it gives them more possibility to heal faster and manifest in a more united way in a short amount of time. And these galactic portals give us the time to heal in less time, to heal more things in less time, which is perfect, and not having to be going to a psychologist for 10 years. I mean, that's where we are moving, right, with all the higher vibrations and faster vibrations of Gaia, and Gaia changing into a more crystalline way and not so carbon, which is actually what is happening in our bodies, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
changing from a carbon into carbon crystal to a crystalline.
Yep.
So especially your generation, my generation, and like our parents' generation, the younger generations like already come with the software
Mm-hmm.
updated, right? It's just like the new phones.
Yeah.
So they don't, yes, so they don't have to go through a lot of things that we actually go through. But having said that, it's a great way to start being conscious about our DNA and how we can start like prepping for those ascension and taking the next step in our path to awaken to our greater potential, right? Because now if we talk about the DNA, most of our DNA, a lot of people probably heard this, that they call it junk DNA or dormant DNA, and actually our DNA, it's only like 3 to 5% awakened, and that's our potential. And then the 97 or 95th percent, it's like they're dormant, like they don't actually know what it is. And but basically what it is that it's actually our true full potential of powers that we have. And that, I feel that goes related as well when we say I don't know who I am. Well, we don't know who we are because that DNA, it's there dormant, and it's probably the more that it's coiled as well, the harder that it is to access all that information, all those powers, and that galactic blueprint that it's encoded in those strands. So if we want to start decoiling and unwinding that DNA, we have to start with exercise, for example, with breath work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Breath work, meditation, listening to solfeggio frequencies or gamma frequencies, toning, tapping to activate, to balance our both sides of the brain. And the tapping, people can Google, there's a lot of tapping exercise, but a simple tapping way, it's so our left side of the body represents the feminine, right? But our right side of the brain is our feminine because we are cross-wired,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right? So when we feel a pain or that we're feeling that a part of the right side of our brain is being activated, and you're going to feel it because you feel the tingling or the electrifying sensation, is actually your feminine side being activated, releasing something, and vice versa. The right side of our body is the masculine and the left side of the brain is the masculine. So if we want to activate the masculine side, let's say you're a divine feminine, right? Mostly divine feminine, and you need to tap into your divine masculine energy so you can take action into manifesting something, whatever that is. So you want to tap, you go to your hairline and you go to in the middle of your pupil
Mm-hmm.
there, and you just tap with your right hand, your left side of the brain, and just tap and breathe normally. And just tap, 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 tap. You can go faster too if you feel to. And you can go as long as you want for the tapping. In this tapping as well, you can say sacred words like vowels, ah, oh, and then you go with the left and you go to your right side to the line, to your hairline. If you don't have hair, just imagine where your hairline would be if you would have hair. And you just stop. Tap, 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 and breathe. Breathe. And you want to do it in both sides. So we start like practicing the balancing
Mm.
of both sides, and the feminine and the masculine balance. And then we want to go to the third eye there in the middle, because that's the bridge. That's what bridge both sides, right? We have the bridge of the brain like here.
Mm-hmm.
So that activates the bridge and merging of both sides.
I tap here. Sometimes when I do channeling work, I will get much intense energy through this area, the third eye, and into the head. And especially when I first started channeling, it was like energy really wanted to force through, and I had to kind of like work it through. And I would tap right here to move the energy to get it like clearing. And so I'm very like versed in the forehead tapping.
Yeah, yeah. I need, and there's simple exercise, and then there are other centers in the body that you can tap too. There's many videos on YouTube about the tapping, but that starts helping like creating a coherence in your brain as well. And then
Hmm.
with the breath work, when I felt that I needed my heart to be more powerful than my mind, right? That starting to bring down that non-healthy ego. I would just do breath work, visualizing bringing the breath to my heart center, and just picturing that breath, concentrating there and bringing it to the brain, and then down to the heart, and then up to the brain, and then to the heart, and then making a coherence between the heart and the brain,
Hmm.
knowing that the heart is the one that rules,
Hmm.
because the heart is it's the one that actually is aligned to the galactic center or the sun. If you don't know what the galactic center is, or the great central sun, what it is, just picture the sun. The sun is connected to our heart. Even in the tree of life, in the Kabbalistic tree of life, Tipareth is the sun, is our heart. It's the center there. So even like connecting our heart, breathing there, connected to the sun, beaming, visualizing the sunlight into our heart, breathing to the brain and bringing it down. That's gonna start creating a shift between your body and between your mind and heart. And some struggles might showed up where it's the ego. It's gonna
Yeah.
tell you, no, this is not okay. We go back to the other, like this is not fine. We have to go back to the other, and you just have to keep focus in the sun, what feels right in the heart. And it's an exercise, it's a process. It's not going to happen like from one day to the other one. It's a constant practice till one day you're just like, oh no, this just feels not okay. I'm going with what feels okay
Yeah.
and trusting it, right? That's because that's the hardest part. Like, people were asking me, how do I know who to trust? Well,
Hmm.
to me, trust starts with us,
Yeah.
right?
Because then
Trust.
people are listening to themselves and learning that what they're feeling is something that they can move towards. And the thing is, people rely on the outside resources or the opinions of others rather than trusting what they actually feel is valid for them. And if you can't trust yourself and you can't go into that place and that's not grounded, then you sure as heck aren't going to be able to trust anyone else.
Exactly. And I have relationships, friend relationships, where they were, well, the only way I'm gonna trust you if it's you read this. If you don't read this, then I'm not gonna be able to trust you. I'm like, even if I read it, you're not gonna trust me, because
Yeah.
it's just, you need to trust yourself. There's something there that needs to be worked out, and creating that brain coherence with the heart is going to activate, shift that memory. It's practically a rewiring of your brain, which it is related to your DNA, right? Because when I do the life activation, which is the life activation, I work in the back of your head. That's where we have the 12 codons, where I connect those codons to the great central sun, and I bring the light, and etherically everything gets connected. right? To start activating um, that DNA that creates the personal, collective, and multidimensional experiences. I mean, it is basically what we're doing. Actually, it is high magic. What in the esoteric we call high magic, because we're bringing the energies from the cosmic down into our etheric energetic fields and connected it to our centers here, our psychic centers here on Earth, which is what is going to help us expand and shift in the in dimensions and start unlocking a lot of blockages, ancestral blockages that have been there. Because the activation itself, it goes 7 generations to the past and 7 generations to the future. That's how amazing it is. It's like
Hmm.
the investment, like it's huge. It's not just, and even if you just do it once in your lifetime, the benefits are huge. And you start seeing how actually your relationships in your family start shifting. I've been activating people, I don't know, yeah, since 2019, and that's one of the main things that's happened. Like I always get a text saying, all of a sudden, like my mom is saying everything, it's fine with everything that I'm doing, like I'm getting approval, like she thinks it's fine, and now she's finally getting divorced, and my dad finally started exercising. Like you start seeing how the effects actually ripples, in your family, in your ancestry. And that's why as well in the mystery school where I'm an initiate, everything starts with the life activation, with the DNA activation, like that massive clearance of energetic debris has to be out, so
And
you can bring in more new things.
And so how does that work? Like how when you're working with somebody to let's say I'm coming to get a life activation, which everyone I have done with her. And I've had it done previously too, a few years back. And so I know what the experience is, but people that are hearing this for the first time, what can they expect, and like what are you doing? And then how does it affect them?
Well, when you first get the activation, it can feel a little bit at the beginning, because you're standing for a little bit, for quite a bit, although it's like around 40 minutes, but really you don't feel it because we are in another dimension, we're working in other realms. But there's a removal of a cap that some have, that it's blocking us from having that communication and that connection with our blueprint. And then I work on the energetic petals that we have all around our body. Those petals are the ones that help like bring energy into us, and because of stress or alcohol or bad habits in food, fights, they tend the petals should be open like this, and the petal tends to like close. So what I do is I just like pedal them and calm them with light, and then till I leave them open. So then that's when you start seeing the shift of all the things like manifesting, or things that were blocked starting like to unblock in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, there's an alignment of the chakras. There's an alignment of the elements in our body: water, air, fire, and earth. There's an activation of the infinite symbol. And then there's removal of burnt crystals that we have in the etheric. Again, that can be caused by trauma, fights, drugs, alcohol. So everything, all of that gets removed, and you end up like more lighter. And that's why people as well say like, oh, I feel lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I was removing a lot of those things out.
Mm-hmm.
like the crystals, we can have like huge crystals here in our shoulders, and it's funny, while I'm doing it, while I'm removing the crystals, like you can tell, I can see the people, right, like doing like this, or like there was or like itching, like, and then in our hips too, there are crystals in our hips. So it's funny, like, yes, when I'm doing the whole thing, how the body language, like I'm always
Yeah.
looking at that. And depends how the person is. Like, you were super clean, right? When I was doing your petals, you were super clean, but sometimes people, is the first time and they haven't done anything, so I can feel a lot of things if there's happening something in their body, like in their stomach, in their legs, in their heart.
Mm.
I can, like, as an empath, I can feel it in my body, and then I just take notes, and then I do like another extra reading. And then after that, you're basically clear to get connected to the light. So there I started like bringing the light, connecting your DNA to your blueprint, clearing all the way for you to start getting those messages and getting you aligned to your purpose. And even if you're aligned to your purpose, there's even greater purposes out there. Like for you, for example, there's even like greater stages for you.
Hmm.
So that's why it doesn't matter which state of your awakening or spiritual journey are, like, it always gonna like bring you higher and higher, or faster and faster. I
Hmm.
like to say faster as well. It's like a faster frequency, and you can go as fast as you want, and the life activation itself is going to accelerate that healing path. um there's no shortcuts, but it can accelerate it.
Right. It sounds like it allows for more flow to be able to be on your path rather than the roadblocks that we kind of place in our way, or the programs that take place within our life and the things we agree to that can create clutter. And
Hmm.
without, I think that, if people aren't doing that love into those places, bringing love into those places and healing or clearing those things, it can become an energy that becomes stagnant in those areas. So it seems like that the life activation really opens up those channels to be able to receive and develop a stronger relationship with spirit and the universe and ourselves, really, because it really is about knowing yourself and trusting
Hmm.
yourself, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So I think that's incredible.
And unlocking, the powers, like we have the power to regenerate ourselves. We have the power to heal from a bigger disease. Like, if the will is there has to be the will and the action of you wanted to heal and really face um, those things. It activates the psychic centers too,
Hmm.
right? And those psychic centers are the ones that connect us to oneness out there, to the cosmic energies. And you can start having more communication with the angelic beings, the other realms, other galactic beings. You can go as far as you want. You just have to put the intention. And that's something that I always said. I personally, I feel like I'm a kamikaze. I'm like, okay, hit me, like, give me everything.
Hmm.
Right? But I understand sometimes it's too much, and I have to say no. Okay, well, now I need a week. I need a week to integrate, and we do have to respect those times as well, where we say like, oh, I just need to sleep today, and connected to this galactic portal, like we're gonna feel like more tired, having wanted to have like more integration days and napping and just doing nothing, because
Yeah.
we are being activated at a cellular level. So all those little cells are being like those neutrinos from the central sun, and nanoparticles are coming inside of our body. And that's why it's so important as well to drink the water, because it's not just coming into our body, it's coming to Mother Earth, to Gaia. And because we are a mirror of Gaia, it is affecting us in the same way.
Hmm.
So that's why to drink water is so important in the spiritual journey, especially if it can be spring water, because it
Hmm.
holds the frequencies of Gaia itself. um but Another thing that the DNA activation help us is to awaken to the archetypal energies, and that's when we can start. Yes, a lot of our healing with the DNA activation is going to be flush, things that probably were there blocking us that we don't need to know, like ancestral secrets that probably will never know unless you go into your Akashic records and you dig in. But there's some that we don't actually need to know at this point in
Yeah.
lifetime, and they just can be flushed, right? And but then there's the option of bringing the archetypal energies to understand our healing and what we need and what we don't need anymore. And that's a whole other awakening. Well, we had a conversation yesterday about it, which was fascinating, but that's like a whole other world. Like, it's
Right.
infinite, the archetypes that you can be facing and dealing with, which to me is fascinating. Like, it's such an important part to me of the healing process in this ascension journey. um
We should do another video soon where we just talk about archetypal studies and like that. And that's something that I actually wanted to go to further my education into. So I'm that's interesting that that's brought up. But I think that understanding that, because as I brought up yesterday in the discussion with the
mhm.
group, um, that in a past life session, that when I give those, a lot of the archetypes that want to integrate with the person are the past lives that they need to see. Those
Mhm.
integrations are the most important ones. So they'll see the archetype where they were playing that archetypal role in another lifetime. So
Yeah.
either something they have to heal, or something they have to and clear, or something they need to integrate within this. Well, both. It's all goes
Yeah.
cohesively. They need to integrate that, and that's the lives that they'll end up seeing are those particular ones. So I think that that's a and this goes hand in hand with what we're discussing today, and it awakens that possibility and access to that information, and that's for those. Again, this conversation is going to be for some people that may have a little bit more kind of step into the spiritual development world, because some of the things we're talking about, people aren't going to fully grasp onto as concepts,
Right.
because it is a little bit more, out into the development of the spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And that's why I also wanted to have this conversation, because I wanted to give people that are going to listen to and watch this, a little bit like a next level integration of what is also on the other side of your spiritual, wherever you're at, and
Yeah.
understanding what a DNA activation is and why you would want to activate it, and what could, the potential power that a DNA activation will open up to you. And like, again, as Romy said, it like, it's not just right now in that moment you're doing it. It actually plays out over time in layers, because it is something that needs to be integrated, and then it affects the past. It affects the generations, and you're healing and integrating those powers and energies for your family line, your ancestral line, and all the other entities that you're connected to energetically. And
Yeah.
so this whole discussion about the DNA activation, why it's important, because people think, oh, DNA, oh, genetics, oh, like I have the genetics my parents have. It's such a limited view of what the DNA that we hold physically and non-physically
Yeah.
actually possess, that I wanted to give people the next level information that maybe they don't have access to yet, and they can dive in more. They can go to see you, and learn more about it, because you're very knowledgeable about what you do, and you definitely, you do your studies, and even me knowing about how this works, and even doing the galactic activation,
Yes.
um, is like, I'm learning more, as someone who has been to the mystery schools, and who has done that. So that actually, that brings me to a good point. Do you want to explain a little bit about the mystery school, since you are a mystery school initiate, and that's how you do your life activations, and how you learned how to do it? And again, the mystery schools, when we're talking about that, everybody, we're going back to ancient times. We're going back to ancient Egypt and ancient Sumer, where a lot of these were the schools were founded. And so this is not new. This, and you'll hear modern mystery school, but none of it's new.
Right.
It's ancient power. It's ancient wisdom that in the heyday of ancient times, when the pharaohs and the queens were ruling with gold everywhere and palaces and everything, this is the power and then the wisdom that was, and the magic that's very important, very much magic
Mm.
that was prevalent in those times, and we are bringing it back now. That's why it's modern mystery, so we're bringing it back. But Romy, how did like what's your story with the modern mystery school, and what do you want to tell us about anything in regards to
Yeah.
that?
Well, yes, like you said, I mean, these are Asian practices, and the fact that we are talking right now about the DNA or the life activation, that doesn't mean it is new, quote unquote, because people are getting to know more and more intrigue about it. But it's 3,500 plus years old. They Asian Egypt, Mesopotamia, like they've been doing these practices forever in a secret way, right? That's why they're mystery schools. These schools were mysteries and they were hidden because they were not approved by the normal life or the church or religion, however you want to call it. It wasn't approved. That doesn't mean that, for example, the royalty lines have not known about the mystery schools. Like most of them, like they have teachings from these mystery schools and this power. What happens with this knowledge? Like if you are not in the light, it can be really damaging too, because they're powerful tools, powerful teachings, powerful prayers
Hmm.
that I do every single day. And in order, like, to nurture myself, not to be drained, right? Because I'm in service to people. And in order for me to be able to flow the energy of the Galactic Federation and the Hierarchy of Light, which are the two entities that I work with. And so this tool it's really ancient, and but yet, and it comes from the lineage of King Solomon, in particularly the mystery school where I'm in, the modern mystery school. Everyone can Google it; it's gonna come out. It's I believe it's the only mystery school that is actually out there sharing the mystery teachings. All the other ones are still underground, are still like preserved. Um, and I believe there's 7 around the world in different countries where these 7 are representing the chakras of the planet.
Mm.
Okay, so, and the life activation itself changed so much my life. I mean, life activation. When I just read life activation, it's like, oh my god, yeah, I want my life. My life was great. Don't get me wrong, my life was great. I was working. I was earning a lot of money. I was traveling. I was, I was working just 6 months of the year, and I was traveling the other 6 months of the year. Like it was, it was a dream life. Like I manifested. I was living in Argentina, working here in the United States, living with dollars in pesos in Argentina. Like everything that I wanted, like actually aligned up. But then I saw Dr. Teresa Buller in an interview, and I was like, "What's mystery school?" And I Google, and then I saw life, how to be galactic. Oh my god, how to be galactic? Yes. And then first you need to be life activated. Oh my god, yes, I want my life to be activated more than it is. Like, yes, I mean, call me greedy. I don't know what it was. I was like, I want more. Right? And oh my god, that session was so magical, but so magical. Like I saw God. I saw God, and I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in the image of God being a man with a white beard. I never resonated with that.
Mhm.
But in the activation itself, I was presented to God, to Ra, to that energy, and all the army. I don't like word army, but it was like a army of angels there. I was like, it felt so at home, right? That
Mhm.
feeling of always wanted to be at home, and we don't know where that home is. And it shifted my life so much. I mean, I then afterwards I did the other initiation, Empower Thyself, because I was like, oh my god, if the life activation did all of that, what does Empower Thyself is going to do to me, right? And it was like another magical weekend where I got initiated into the lineage of King Solomon, and it's an understanding of more who you are, what you are, where you come from, where are we going, and what my purpose was, which are like 5 Kabbalistic questions that, every single day I ask myself. And it was just, eh, everything started aligning how it should be. And maybe I wasn't making as much money as before, but that was never a problem. Like, I was able to take classes, to keep traveling till COVID happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
um but it opened up, the DNA activation opened up like more the communication to the other realms, to the vegetal realm here on Gaia, like the communication with the animals, the communication with the plants change. um there's no way that right now when I go to pick up the lemon from the tree, I always talk to the tree and I ask for permission for the tree to pluck the lemon, and I leave something in for the tree in exchange. And I go on my hikes and I'm like talking to the roses and the little flowers and the little birds. And I'm driving to go do candles, and I acknowledge the mountain, I acknowledge the concrete where I'm driving, because it's energy and it's alive.
Yeah.
And we're taking everything for granted, and those things are there to serve us at the same time, and they're just so beautiful. They're probably simple, and the concrete, the road is not that cute, but it needs acknowledgement too.
Mm-hmm.
It need, just like that person that has never been heard, or feels like it's never been heard, right?
Yeah.
So the life activation activates those things as well, like being more aware of everything, all your surroundings. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how your life starts changing too, because then you're like, oh, I'm actually abundant. I have all this abundance around me.
Yeah.
And then prayers coming, prayers of gratefulness. That's another way of starting to activate your DNA if you don't want to get dead life activation per se. Like every day, being just grateful for the things that you have without asking something in return. Just being grateful for having a bed, having a coffee in the morning, or a tea, or being able to take a shower, or little things. They don't have to be big things what you're grateful for. And you can go as far as you want, and then the universe is going to be like, oh, this person is like acknowledging all these things that we're giving, so it's ready for more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, after I say thank you for everything that the universe has given me, I say more, please, because then I'm
Mm.
letting the universe know that uh, I'm ready for more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we have, I was about to cook, and then I don't know, Chelsea, my aunt, she comes with a great dinner, and I don't have to cook. I say, oh my God, thank you, universe, more, please.
Yeah.
Because then it just keeps happening and happening and happening. And that's one of my manifestation tools. And it's as simple as that. But it requires rewiring of the brain. It's an exercise, it's a
Yeah.
muscle too.
Yeah. And I love that because I it's so funny. You keep saying things that I'm thinking to ask. Like it'll come up in my brain and I'll be like, I'm gonna ask like, oh, what's a practical like for example, I was like, what's a practical way people can start activating their own DNA right now, just not having anything but just having
Yeah.
themselves, and you just answered it. And
Yeah.
that was a very big one because acknowledgement of like what you are receiving already is the key to receiving more. And
Yes.
that's why when people a lot of people have come to me where they're like, well, I'm not getting messages from my guides, or I want to see a spirit guide or an extraterrestrial guide or whatever they want to see. And they're like, but I'm just not, and I'm just not. And I'm like, actually, you are. You're just not acknowledging the ways that you are already receiving, which
Right.
means you cannot have more because you haven't acknowledged the layer that you're getting. And it's so
Hmm.
funny that you bring that up because I'm like, no, that word, acknowledge. And that's a really big tool. Acknowledge the things that are happening around you already. And they're going to go, oh, they're acknowledging this. They're seeing this. Great. So now let's give them the next layer because they're developing their relationship with us and themselves and they're ready for more magic. So I love, 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 love that
Yes.
you just said that that's part of DNA activation.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And then another way they you can start is actually detoxing your body, right? It might happen naturally. You might get a disease, the vaccinated, the vaccination, it might be it's going to be like clearing at a cellular level. You might get a toxin like it happened to me, a neurotoxin, and then that's I knew that I was not going to be able to stop eating meat. There was no way. As an Argentinian, there was no way I could I could leave the sweetbreads and the chorizo and the blood sausage. There was no way. I was like, how is this gonna happen? Because I was feeling in my body that it needed to happen, but then I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. And then the universe like, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Here, go to Bahamas and eat this little fish. Great.
Go
And
to the
it was,
Bahamas.
we're gonna take you to the Bahamas for this new year.
Oh my gosh.
You're gonna and because you're gonna be swimming with the pigs, you're not gonna be eating meat, but you're gonna eat the fish. Okay. And the intoxication, it wasn't a singular like fish intoxication. It was a neurotoxin. It was a fish. It's called ciguatera poisoning. Ciguatera poisoning. Everyone, apparently, a lot of people gets it, but no one knows because it is not talk about it. The symptoms, you get spasms, you get allergies, so they don't really know. They can diagnose the depression from it.
Mhm.
Like they don't actually know, but it was something so weird. It was so signature. What it is, it's basically eating fish from red tide. So I could feel like my blood boiling from the inside, and it was like, oh my god. And I would order like flat water, and then it would feel sparkly. I'm like, did I order sparkly water? Like this is so crazy. And it was flat. I'm like, why am I feeling like bubbles in it? Like,
Wow.
and the hot water, I would feel it cold, the cold water hot. So I was taking, oh, and that was another thing. I would have to take bath every single night, like around 2 3. I couldn't sleep, so I would like go to the bath and make, I had a bathtub, a bath. I was like, what the f is happening? Am I turning into Madison from Splash? Like, what is happening? Like, I'm like, am I gonna spread? Like, I feel like I was gonna spread like
No.
a mermaid. Like, I'm like, what's
No.
going?
Madison from Splash. Oh my
you know,
god.
that scene where she's in the bathtub and
Yeah,
then
I
she's
remember. And it
moving.
like flops out.
I'm like, are my lips like gonna flop out? Like, what's going on here? I was going crazy. That New Year's, uh, I just on what was it? On the first second, I flew to Atlanta because I was gonna work, and then my whole body starts numbing. But numbing, you know how your hand numbs sometimes?
Mhm.
Well, it was my whole body. My left side of the brain and left side of the body. And at that point, I told my aunt Chelsea, I was like, okay, something is wrong. Like, I don't know, this is not okay. My levels of energy were super low, and she's like, we're gonna go to the doctor. I'm like, shit, I don't trust the doctors here in the United States. I was like, okay, Romy, like, I just put the prayer out in the universe. I was like, universe, allow me please to a doctor that knows what I have, because this is weird what I have. and Chelsea picked the clinic, and I go to the clinic, and the doctor opens the door, which is super rare. Normally, it's like the nurse, and he opens the door, and he's like, "Hi, my name is blah blah blah. I'm a neurosurgeon." I was like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "What's going on with you?" So I tell him what happened. I went to Bahamas, ate the fish, and he's like, "Stop there. You shouldn't eat fish in Bahamas. You got Sagittarius poisoning. So these are the symptoms." Blah blah blah. He gave me the whole list, and I just heard poisoning. That's the only thing that I heard.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "What's the antidote?" And he's like, "Oh, there's no antidote. I can treat the symptoms, but there's no antidote. You just have to flush it drinking water." I was like, "Okay." And me being hypochondriac, super hypochondriac, I was like, "Okay." I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was gonna be like that. I was like, "How long is gonna last?" And he's like, "I don't know. It depends how much toxin did you eat." I was like, "Shit." But at the time, I was studying quantum healing as well. That was prior to the activation. But I was studying quantum healing. So after that, I had to go to Dallas and then to Vegas to work. And then I was like, I'm just gonna look for a quantum healer and see if I can make it work or like accelerate it. And in 5 sessions, I was back into a 9. It was
Mm.
I couldn't eat any of the foods, but my energy levels were back into 9, and he could see, like, he would call them cooties, and I could see them too, like they were like energetic entities that toxin brought into my body, and I could feel
Mm.
them while he was doing the quantum healing. I could see them like going out, and he could see them too. And that's how I stopped eating meat. After that, I could never eat
Mm.
meat again, because I was eating for 8 9 months. I was eating like vegetables.
Yeah. Well, that did it. That
That
cleared your
did it.
system.
Right.
Made a
So
density be gone.
yes, density be gone. Quantum healing is another magical session that I even do on myself. Like if I'm getting cramps or if I have a headache, I know it's like energy stuck. So I just put my hands in there, couple breathing exercise, which
Hmm.
one of the breath works is the fire breath, which is like we
Yeah.
inhale and we just exhaling.
Hmm.
And that just creates like a whole amount of energy, and then you just put your hands wherever it hurts, or even to activate the DNA too. You just do that breath and you bring it to your heart, your brain, and then you just picture light coming out of your hands into those spots, and then
Yeah.
that's going to help like clear and move energy out. Now, if you want to detox, right, and you don't have that contract with the universe where you are going to have like a massive intoxication,
Hmm.
there's a really there's
No,
a really
please.
because then along the journey, then there's other detoxing that needs to happen in your body in order for you to move faster in the vibration. So last year I got this book, Healing Starts in the Kitchen,
Hmm.
and I did that detox. It's a detox that lasts 3 months. It's basically it's based on a couple that they were dealing with cancer. So they decoded all the foods that had preservatives and what to eat and how to cleanse your body and how to start integrating other foods and see what you're allergic to or the reactions that your body has to, and it teach you how to eat in a clearer way. So I did that detox last year, and it was like another massive layer of energetic clearance that happened, and
Yeah.
that helps with the DNA activation. That it's help putting you aligning you to eventually either get the life activation or keep activating. You maybe find another practitioner that can help you activate DNA in another way, right?
Hmm.
Like, you always have to trust what you feel and go with what your heart says is okay,
Yeah.
your soul, right? So, but those are other things that you can do to start activating yourself, your DNA, and have the intention. That
Yeah.
is super important. Have the intention of it. and
Yeah.
then start seeing those little signals so you can start mastering and becoming that one with the cosmos, with that, embracing that oneness,
Yeah.
right?
Well, listen, this has been so incredible, and I know that you and I could literally go on for uh, probably ever till we're like our bodies die
Yeah.
talking about these things because there's so many different layers. And I know that as we talk, we get downloads as we're like thinking, it's like, oh,
Hmm.
hey guys, talk about this. Oh, well, you're on that topic. So, hey guys,
Totally.
talk about this. And they drop the thoughts in. But I want to save that. That's enough download for everybody today. So, what I do want you to do is like, if people are interested in a life activation or learning more through you, how can they get in touch with you? What's your site and Instagram and all
my
that?
my site, it's Romie, Romie, B as a boy, o.com, romiebo.com. My Instagram is the same, I am romiebo.com. those are those are my websites, where the website where you can reach me, ask me anything. If you want further information, if you want to have a consultation to have more info. I know sometimes this is a lot of information, and the information might sit there for a while. And even like, if you I encourage to go into those rabbit holes where, oh, what is DNA activation, and Google DNA activation or
Hmm.
life activation, and all the information is going to come up. Like, go have fun in those rabbit holes, and then, yeah, reach to me if you want guidance, information, more. Like, I'm open, I'm here on service. And there's practitioners all over the world, and we are making this because we are anchoring light into Gaia. We're bringing the consciousness into Gaia, and there's like a collective purpose, right? That it's happening for greater purposes too, that we can talk about it another time. But then eventually, when we do the spiritual activation, that one activates 10 different points of the brain to connect you even to further communication to spirit. So there's a lot of things that can be done. I mean,
Hmm.
it's super magical, and I can't wait to do that one next
Yeah.
week.
Well, it's so incredible, and I'll be putting the links for you attached to this video as well, so everybody can just like scope that out. But I think it's just very important because people hear about these things, and you're right, it's hard they don't know necessarily who to trust or what information to trust. And I think it comes down to who you really connect with and vibrationally feel aligned with, because everybody's different. And I connect with you so much. I feel your honesty, and I feel your openness, and your complete service to people, humanity, to the universe, to God, to the all that is, and because you see yourself as part of everything. And that's why I wanted to share you with everyone, because I have so much trust in you. And when it comes to healings and spiritual work with people, I don't go see a lot of people. I don't get sessions, and people might think I do all this stuff, but I do my own work at home. I have intergalactic and
Yeah.
interdimensional connections and healings, and I get a lot through that. So when I do meet somebody that I really connect with and that it aligns, then I'm all in. And so just my experience with you, and the way that you help people and show up for people in platforms like Clubhouse as well, and with your products that you create and your candles and your
Totally.
incense, it's just, I just see your soul, and I see what you're here to do. And I trust that, and I want other people to find people that they can trust as well. So thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. I'm sure we're gonna be talking about archetypes in the next one,
Yes.
and that kind of connection. And I really hope that people get a lot of information and practical things, as well as consciousness expanding things from this conversation today. Do you have a parting message for anybody or everybody today?
I just want to thank you. I align with you. I feel you so deep in my heart. I love you so much. I feel the same way about you. Like, we are here, to empower every human being, and to help them understand that they can be in this happiness and abundance, and in their own power. So that's why I feel so aligned to you. At the same time, I don't see that selfishness or personal I cannot say the word in English. Interest, right? Like there's no personal interest. This is
Hmm.
about like empowering everyone and seeing everyone happy and living in joy, because I do believe that's part of it. It can be done. Every
Yeah.
single day can be lived with happiness and joy, even though we face challenges.
Hmm.
So
That's
I
amazing.
love you with all my heart, and I'm really grateful that you trust in me for working with in every single aspect, for the activations, for sharing rooms in Clubhouse, for sharing this interview. Like, I'm so honored and grateful. I love you so
Oh,
much, Derek.
your intention is so pure and so lovely, and I know it's hard for people to know what to trust out there, and so it's very important to me that I, present people that they can discern for themselves if it's right for them or not, because for some people it won't be right for. I'm not right
Right.
for everybody, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I know that we all attract what we need at the time. So thank you
Mm-hmm.
so, 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 so much. I can't wait till everybody can see this. I love you all. You guys have all been amazing. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to this information or my channel if you like this information. And we'll see you in the coming days, and have fun during the last days of your galactic portal.
You too, and happy birthday. And ask and you shall receive.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Asking you shall receive. I'm
Receive.
receiving right now,
Yeah.
and I'm receiving a
Too.
nice pink light up here.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Mwah, 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 mwah.